We've got here is we've got the installation jigs for Emmanuel Synagogue and for IPAC, and these two theatres at IPAC, the Bruce Gordon Theatre and the large theatre which is the IMP, which I'm not sure what that means. So just getting back to Emmanuel, I'm going to send the Emmanuel jigs in the container for IPAC, so they can get over there. There's no point coring them any earlier. So the jigs themselves, we've got a drilling jig. Now this is a universal drilling jig which you keep after you've done the job. That fits into the template like so. So see how it fits into the, and is located in here. So as long as you've got the jig located against the step and located in its position laterally beside the next jig, that's in the right position. Okay. So three types of jigs. We've got the large jig, which is to do straight rows, and they are all at 530 centres. Then we've got the smaller jigs. We've got 530 centres and we've got 550 centres. You'll see on the drawing where they go. It's one row is 530 and one row is 550, and that's to go around the corners at the end of the auditorium. The way these work is that the jigs butt together, and then when you're going around the corner, they roll around the radius here. So as long as you keep the back edge against the riser, roll around the radius, that gives you the correct set out. So you position the jig, get it square against the radius, in there, drill that, then you can take that jig and put it in the next position and work your way around the corner. So both the 530 and the 550 work the same. So that's for Emmanuel. Right, moving on to IPAC. So we've got the Bruce Gordon Theatre, which is a smaller theatre. They're all at 540 centres and they're all straight rows. We've got pedestals, which are using this type of jig, and we've also got Bruce Gordon Theatre with straight rows. Bruce Gordon Theatre, we've got stanchions which use this type of jig. So exactly the same principle as I showed you on the pedestal base. We use that drilling jig. That's symmetrical. It doesn't matter which way it fits. That's correct. So we've got the Bruce Gordon Theatre at 540 centres, and then the large theatre, which I call the IMP. We've got stanchions at 520 centres, and we've got stanchions at 530 centres in a straight row. And once again, the jigs work the same as before, and you've used those before. So as well as the straight rows, then we go around corners. Now to go around corner, we've got the individual jigs for going around corners. So once again, I'll just take those out. So I've given you three each of these. So you position that against the riser, come around the corner, keeping the back edge against the riser, keeping the jig together at the front. Then you can drill that. Once that's drilled, you can move along here to drill that. You move that jig down to the other end, and then keep that moving around the corner. Now, when you get to, so that's going around the corner, we've got to be careful when we get to a transition from a corner to a straight. And what we have to do is when we come along the straight, so we've drawn along the straight, drill, and this is the last one on the straight. So that's the last one on the straight. What we then need to do is take the jig away. We then need to position the template over the holes, put the jig back in place and pin through the drill holes to hold that jig in position. Then we can go around the corner as I showed you before. Once you go around the corner, drill the first jig on the straight by butting the jig together. So So you've drilled that one, that's the first one on the straight. Once that's drilled, then you can take that away, put that back in place, pin it. And then you put your straight jig in place here. That's pinned in position, so then your straight jig in place against the riser, and then you can continue it down the straight. So that's for the big theatre, using stanchions, and there's two sizes of stanchions, 520 and 530. We've also got pedestal bases. All the pedestal bases are 520 centimetres in the big theatre. So we've got a jig for the big theatre at 520 centimetres. Now there's some pedestals that go around the corners. So we've got the small jig here, working on exactly the same principle as the stanchion I showed you before. So the jigs butt together and then they can go around the corners. Now the drilling of the pedestals are all removable. So there's a floor plate that goes on the floor which the base bolts to. When we're drilling the fixings, we have to drill 8 holes. The 4 inside holes are where your dropping anchors go into the floor, and you bolt your floor plate down to that. The 4 outside holes give you clearance so that when you bolt the pedestal on, the ends of the bolts which go through the plate can go into the hole underneath and don't interfere with the concrete. I think that's all. In the first 2 rows of the big theatre, it's on the orchestra pit lift, which is timber floor, so that you will have to drill the hole here on the outside for clearance for the fixing bolt. You take that away, and then you put the removable floor plate down and screw it down with the 8 screws into the timber. So you can use those in exactly the same fashion. And those 2 front rows are some straight and some curved. So if we just come over here to the plan, so you can see on the plan, front 2 rows of pedestals. So the middle chairs are straight, then we come around the corner. So we can see straight round the corner, straight round the corner. You'll see how I've colour coded them. So we've got 530 centres in the red, and in the light blue we've got 520 centres, and the dark blue is pedestals. So we've got pedestals here for the front 2 rows. Here at the end of row G, those are for wheelchair positions, and then there's a section in the middle of L and M, and a section in the middle of S and R for technical positions. Now you'll notice on the drawing I've got an F and an A. What that means is a fixed leg and an adjustable leg. So this is and you'll be familiar with this is the fixed leg, where the bracket is bolted permanently to the leg, and they are made one size only. So this particular one is for 530. Where we come to go around the corners, we've got another leg, and unfortunately I haven't got one assembled yet, but it has the leg is like so, and we've got brackets here, and we've got a new type of mounting bracket that comes on here, which is bolted down from the top and the bottom. So what that means is, as you're coming around the corner, you can adjust the angle. You can adjust the angle of the seat plates and if necessary the width to suit what the configuration of the installation is. I'll actually do another video in a couple of days' time when we've got some of these assembled to show you that. Any questions? Okay, one more thing is that where you transition between different sizes of seat, you see that I've got a code here, TF. That means it's a transition leg, and F being a fixed floor leg. So transition, so we're transitioning from one size to the other. So that means the The bracket on the stanchion, you have maybe a 530 bracket on this side and a 520 bracket on that side. We have boxed them separately and labelled them accordingly, and we've also, when we box things up, that we're boxed things up and labelling for the row. So everything for row R has got a label on saying row R. Everything for row Q has a label saying RQ. So if you see here, we've got a TA. That means it's a transition for an adjustable leg. P means pedestal. I haven't identified the aisle legs, but all the aisle legs are fixed with an aisle panel on. They're all the same, but they are dedicated to the size. So the aisle leg for a 530 and an aisle leg for a 520 are different because of the mounting bracket on them. Pedestals, the aisle panel bolts directly to the pedestal. I think we'll leave it at that at this stage.